Hello, everybody. Uh, Welcome to the show, Cosmic Nihar. In this video stream, we would be discussing today's the questions of Vedic cosmology, and apart from that, without wasting time, let us uh, share. Let me share with you uh, the screen, and let us start the video. So here is the screen, and without wasting time, let us come to our questions and explanations in the Vedic cosmology today. We would be discussing how do the Veda describe the origin of universe, and to understand that we need to fundamentally not just this question, but to understand the origin of universe, to understand the origin of everything, to understand the origin of every question that could ever be asked, and throughout the history of existence depends on the qualities of consciousness, the qualities of light, the qualities of fundamental situations and conditions of the existence that exist before the creation. So here we would be discussing those questions and those answers, those qualities, that consciousness, and that apart from that, another two questions that we would be covering is Brahma similar to the quantum field, and what do the Kal-yugs, or the cycles of time cycles, Kal-yugs and Kalachakra play? So, without wasting time, first we need to understand the condition before uh, the existence. When there was no existence, uh, according to the Vedic sutras, or the Brahma Gyan, or the fundamental knowledge of existence, describes that the existence of zeros. The existence of zero is also known as the existence of Shiva, because Shiva say, "I am the one which is not is me." So this me, to know thyself, to know oneself, uh, in this condition of zero-ness, there has to be a consciousness. Without the consciousness, this existence of zero or this existence of nothingness can never be visioned, can never be evaluated, or can never be known. To be known that there is nothing or anything that could ever exist, or in form of universe, started from that nothing. That nothing has to have the ability of aliveness. That nothingness has to have the ability of awareness. That nothingness has to have the ability of consciousness. So this is the fundamental position and one of the conditions of the consciousness. So how the universe would be accelerating or be formed, or the conditions before uh, the existence, the fundamental conditions, to know them, let us move to the next condition. So what is consciousness? Consciousness is the ability of that nothingness which knows thyself, which knows its own self, and which is aware that I am not. Without that condition, without that consciousness, even the existence of nothing cannot be known. We cannot say, or uh, we cannot evaluate this condition of non-existence if there would have been no consciousness. Thus, the consciousness becomes the one of the fundamental uh, qualitative and quantitative existence and entity of the nothingness. So coming to the other qualities of Chetana, or the qualities of consciousness, or the qualities of Brahma, uh, those are speed, or the fundamental speed, or the speed of light. This is also known as Paramgati in our Vedas. Apart from that, the second quality is Prakash, or light, which we all see everywhere around our surroundings throughout the universe. The third quality is the Buddhi, or the intelligence. The fourth quality of that consciousness, that Brahma, into that nothingness, is infinity, or the infiniteness. Now, the next quality, because we have Gati, or the speed, or Chetana, or the consciousness, because it is consciousness is alive, therefore there has to have a, or has to have, and there is fundamentally one more quality of that is of transformation, and the quality of, and or the quality of change. Another quality is the energy, because without that energy there cannot be any movement, there cannot be any speed. Because there is buddhi, and because there is intelligence, therefore there has to have one more quality, and that is vision, or drishti, or the drishta. That is, there is another quality, because and that of because of that of intelligence, there exists a fundamental observer who observe the fundamental observations. Then, because of the infiniteness, there arises, and there rests, and there there is another quality which states that absolute infinite stability, and absolute infinite stability in the condition of being zero, or that of condition of being in unity, or the whatever condition that can exist beyond the creation. Therefore, it is represented by mathematical unity, or one, or the whatever is the condition that was united uh, before the origin to exist in whatever form uh, it is, nothingness or their somethingness. There has to have a unity in that condition. Therefore it is mathematically also denoted by one. Now expanding these qualities of Chetana, these qualities of consciousness, or the qualities of light also, for the scientific origin, we can say. The first is the quality of Paramgati, or the quality of uh, speed of light. Because light is fundamental and integral part of that Brahma, that Shiva, and within that zero, or within that aliveness of Shiva, or within that existence of Shiva, and without it there is nothing other than Shiva, because we are explaining, we are observing the condition of zero. If there is nothing other than the Shivatva, or the fundamental consciousness, then that consciousness has to have the aliveness. There, that consciousness has to have uh, the awareness, and because it is alive, it is awareness. Therefore, it it results that it has a speed. If it has a speed and there is no other speed, and this is the first time any speed has occurred, Therefore, it is called the Paramgati or the fundamental speed. And it is known that it is also observed by the fundamental observers or the God himself or the thyself or the any person or the entity or the intelligence who has reached that condition, who has reached that place of being the fundamental observer. Now every human becomes that fundamental observer if he or his her intelligence reaches to that point of non-existence, reaches to that point of origin, or reaches the point of that singularity. Now people and scientists nowadays also often uh, talk about singularity. So now understand what is the fundamental singularities. We are also talking about the singularity. This is also condition of singularity. Either that it can be a condition of singularity of a black hole, which can be observed, or the white hole, or whatever form, new form or definitions for the word scientists may come up with. We are also discussing here the qualities of singularity. So singularity is not just far away or something only materialistic. It is also fundamental positioning of or the fundamental condition of that consciousness, fundamental condition of that Chetana or that aliveness. So first uh, uh, quality is Paramgati or the speed of light. And why it is the speed of light and why it is the fundamental? Because there is no other uh, speed other than that speed. It is the first speed or the first change that could ever be observed, because there is no other existence. There is fundamental observer and it is observing its first change. Second comes uh, the second quality of Chetana or the consciousness or that of singularity is the light or Prakash, or it is also called as Param Prakash, the fundamental light or the Param Jyoti. Now, when this position or this existence of that nothingness or that of that unity or that of the fundamental unity or that of the condition of the fundamental unity between that of nothingness or that of being anything that could ever be before the existence or the origin of the universe, as the fundamental existence of that fundamental consciousness is termed as and Shiva, and not just termed as, known as Shiva. And who is going to provide that sound to that Brahma? We are not the one, the human nature or the human intelligence on the earth or anywhere in this world has the ability to pronounce that word. He himself become being that fundamental entity of intelligence and that of consciousness, says him and knows thyself, and therefore he has the right, he himself has the right, and being the fundamental truth, he himself, he or her, whatever form or we want to know that, or in that thing, or simple one another word is that Brahma. So another quality of that Chetana is light. And how much light is there, or it's like when you reach there, because it is the home of all the souls, all the intelligences that could ever exist in the existence, because everything is transformed through that light and made out of that light. So how much light is that? That is the fundamental light, and how much it is when you reach there, you will realize that is like billions and trillions of suns shining all at once. Still, it has the calmness and the smoothness of billions and trillions of the moon, full moon. So that is the condition of and the quality of that Param Chetana is Param Prakash or the fundamental light. Coming to the next quality of that singularity, that first fundamental consciousness or first fundamental Brahma, because it is Chetana, it is consciousness. Therefore, it is there is another ability or the another quality is transformation. And because it is because it is light, it has 2 points. Because it is speed, it is the fundamental speed. A speed always depends on 2 points. There cannot be a speed within 1 point. To to understand a speed or to know that aliveness, there has to have a change. There has to have a 2 points from A to B, from where the speed can exist or be observed. Without that, if that speed becomes zero, then the speed can never be measured, or everything becomes jad or nothingness or non-observable. And because it has this ability of transformation, therefore it has the fundamental energy. This also results in the logical truth condition of energy. Thus the another quality of that singularity, that Brahma, that consciousness of or the fundamental consciousness is energy. Now the another quality is infinite or the infiniteness or the infinity. Mixing its own infiniteness, uh, the energy becomes infinite energy. Not just mixing, because it has that one more quality, uh, infinity. Thus, the energy has to have to be the infinite one. Now, the another quality of that light, that supreme Brahman, that supreme consciousness is Buddhi or intelligence. Because there is no other fundamental observer other than that fundamental observer. And if it is consciousness, we have seen that it is conscious, and we are discussing the properties and qualities of that consciousness. uh, there arise one more quality, that is intelligence, evaluating its own existence. Because there is nothingness, there is no other thing other than its own position or condition of that existence. Maybe it be zero or maybe it be the unity. Whatever is the condition, there is the ability of intelligence and it knows. And if there is nothing other than one own self, how would that entity or Brahma or that fundamental consciousness or that Satya or truth would know it, thyself, oneself? That is, he will know himself. I am. That's how we know each other. That's how everyone knows his own self, his thyself. I am. You know yourself as you in form of I. I know myself in form of I. Every existence that, every intelligence that could ever be existence knows thyself through his or her I. That intelligence is I. So this is the fundamental uh, knowing or the first knowing through that intelligence. Thyself, I am. This also becomes the condition when the smaller entities or smaller intelligences like human or any other transformed intelligence that could ever exist in the existence reaches the fundamental speed. and reaches that point of fundamental consciousness, the ocean of consciousness, the ocean of infiniteness is I am. That fundamental, I am that fundamental intelligence. And the smaller I, or the reflective I, or the transformed I into a human or the any other entity, thus intelligence vanishes. Thus, each entity at that point and that condition becomes the supreme intelligence and that or the God himself. Here in the transformed entities into the world, when it is we observe ourself, we observe that intelligence as transformed smaller speed of that light converting into smaller particles, converging those smaller particles into smaller singularities of existence as humans, or singularities of knowledge, or singularities to form as a resultant intelligence that is in form of I. Proceeding to this quality, buddhi or intelligence, uh, there becomes or there arises the condition of self-realization or the atmagyan or the condition of being unity. Now I'm sharing with you the this image in this slide, which is the quality of which is the picture of brain cell and that of universe. Just a second, let us check if the connection is going well. Yes, it is going well. So coming to our slide once again. So this brain cell, through this brain cell and through this intelligence of your brain cell, you know I am yourself as I am. Similarly, when all the intelligence of all the universes arrived and evaluated the fundamental intelligence as the universe also knows its form as I am. Thus, you are not different from that universe in which you exist or any universe that could ever exist into the existence. You are the integral and equivalent part of this infinite. You are infinite. Thus, the next quality of that Chetana, that consciousness, that singularity, the fundamental origin position is infinity or the infiniteness. Now, infinite being the quality, that intelligence also become the infinite. The infinite intelligence being the infinite intelligent condition, the infinite intelligence, intelligent consciousness. When if when or if it is intelligent and it is consciousness uh, and it has the speed and it has the ability to transform, it would transform into the most intelligent forms that could ever exist. Now, to understand this, we need to understand from here we arrive to the condition of the origin. This is the first point of origin when light is observed or light is transformed into two parts or the two directions. What are those directions? Up or down, left, right? There is no fundamental direction because you are into the nothingness or that consciousness itself has is been into the nothingness or whatever is the condition that it was in the unity of within own self, and without and apart from that own self there was nothing. Therefore there is no fundamental direction. So the fundamental transformation would uh, be the first transformation relative to that fundamental truth or that fundamental position that would evaluate itself or that would know itself. Okay. Now, If it has infinite quality, if it has infinite intelligence, it would transform into infiniteness, and from that infiniteness, it that speed has two positions to go, two directions to go. Either it can multiply its own intelligence through its own intelligence, because it has infinite intelligence, that thus it has the ability to multiply its own self, or increase its own intelligence. When increasing those all possible intelligences, it forms and it occupies the positions and forms that could ever be formed, and that all those positions that could ever be occupied into the nothingness, because there was nothing, was and is nothing apart from that own self. That form is known as the Mahakal form of Lord Shiva. Mahakal means very large time. Kal means time. And why Kal or why time? Because the observer, fundamental observer, has transformed into observation, and these transformations are measured by human beings in form of time, or whatever the observation. Any intelligence can be observed is nothing but the fundamental transformation of time into some event, entity, or a kind. Now, coming to the next quality, because that consciousness, that singularity, the condition of singularity is being intelligent, it has to have a vision. It has to have a Drishti, or becoming the fundamental Drashta or the fundamental observer, because there is nothing apart from that fundamental observer that existed. Therefore, it is that that first observer, that first thyself is known as fundamental observer rather than any simplistic observer or the earthly observer, because it has intelligence, it has vision. Now, from that intelligence, it can stay stable as zero-ness, as nothingness, into its own condition of being zero, and taking that nothingness to the extreme level of being absolute zero and become nothing. Or it can transform its condition of that unity in whatever form that exists, if unable to understood by the smaller intelligences who has not realized him or thyself. It becomes a small some some problem to understand or to evaluate that fundamental life. So it has a right, it has a will to stay in that unit condition, or it has a right to transform its condition. Thus, the absolute infinite stability can stay into absolute infinite stable condition of being zero, or being light as a unit condition, or it can transform. So, when this transformation, now coming to the another quality, and thus the fundamental positions also, and the fundamental three conditions of that origin uh, of the universe, or before the universe and after the. The first image what we are seeing is the fundamental vision of the fundamental observer into as Brahma, or as that of light. The second image is the fundamental position when the first transformation from into that infinite stable condition is known. When that transformation starts occurring, the universe also start form from zeroness, zero dimensions to knowing self into own unity into the first dimension, then observing self from far, that is transforming our own light from far position, creating the condition of observation, the first condition of observation. From thus we now have two positions, the observer and the observation. Thus we come to the condition and the creation of second dimension. Now from this second dimension, that observer being the fundamental infinite intelligence and the observation is equivalent to that of fundamental observer, because it is the integral and infinite part of that supreme intelligence. It has a equivalent right of being uh, the fundamental observation above the that of observer. Thus it has the ability to transform, or thus we arrive ability or the will to transfer into the infinite of the infiniteness, infinities of infinities, and know thyself and become stable. So last condition is also what we are seeing as the Mahakal, or this is also known as Mahakali, or realized as the darshan of Mahakali. This is also last position is also realized as the darshan of Mahaprabhu Sri Mahanarayan as the Virat Roop uh, shared in Bhagavad Gita. The middle condition is the condition or the position from where Dvait, Advait, or from duality can be moved towards either singularities, because it is the fundamental observation, it is the fundamental speed. Therefore, in that first moment of the creation, the whole creation is existed into the infinite of infinities. Whatever form that could ever be formed are formed, and whatever knowledge that intelligence can be transformed are transformed, and whatever result that transformation can ever take is being known. All the position of zeros, all the positions of the one, or the all the logical positions of the truth, all the yes nos and arising another infinite yes nos from all the yeses and all the nos, and evaluating all the falses also help us to realize or creates the condition of truth. If all the infinite falses or whatever the falses that could ever exist are known, the truth is also known. Or the another way, the truth is known by own self. Truth is known by a collection of all the truth or varied positions of the truth. Thus, if all the truth or the occurrences of universes are known, the fundamental truth would be known. Or if all the falses of the occurrences of the universe or the creations are known, still the fundamental logical truth position will arrive into the intelligence, and it will also create another singularity or the Satya. Therefore, the Dharma or Sanatan Dharma is called Satya, because it is eternal. It has infinite stability to be in its form, whatever form it can be. Either it can be in the form of Param Prakash, Param Jyoti, or Shiva, or in form of as that of light. Or it can transform into the infinities of infinity and still know thyself and become stable in that condition, or becoming Mahakal, or in between these dimension, it has still has the ability to be into the form of universe and create those universe infinitely, and still know oneself into integrated smaller parts of that intelligence into time, into smaller part of universes, into smaller part as that of human event entity or time. In this universe, in between the two first and the last condition exists the universe where from duality we can go to the triology, trigonomy, Maya, which we call three qualities from which all the universe in which all the universe is oscillating. From that three qualities of the fundamental speed, observation, and intelligence can be formed. The further dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, seventh dimension, whatever dimensions up to whatever dimension that could ever be created, could be known and formed and can be observed. Thus, infinite singularities and infinite white holes or black holes thus can be observed, creating infinite observable universes. Got it? Now, coming to the later question, is Brahma similar to that quantum field? So, Brahma is and quantum field. Everybody knows what is quantum field and split experiment. Any change in one place, the meaning of quantum is any change or transformation into one point, place, event, entity, or kind will arise or cause the same change into event, entity, or kind into the replicative or another particle or position into another world, no matter how far it is. So that is quantum. So is Brahma similar to quantum? See, it depends on the position of surroundings, system and the surroundings, or the position of the observer and observation, and also the difference, the fundamental difference, uh, positional difference between the observer and observation. If the observer and observation is general humankind, general intelligence, it will see the surroundings and it will not identify this quality of quantum field or being a quantum entity. It is like a similar, a small example in which we see in our day-to-day life. Uh, Whatever we see in our life, uh, trees and whatever things. See, trees or whatever or small particles. We do not. If we want to create a change, we do not. We are not able to make any change in our system and surroundings or our nature. If you put one stone, you won't see another stone somewhere else changing its position or particle changing its position. But if you are aware of if you become the fundamental observer through attaining the fundamental speed of that light, becoming the fundamental intelligent entity, becoming the fundamental observer or that of the reflection of God or his himself or his whatever the religious teaches, his messenger or his son or whatever form any religion guru or those are his that fundamental uh, entities, reflective positions, reflective intelligences, because that is the duty of the fundamental that fundamental intelligence, that shivatva, which has transformed into the smaller dimensions or the multiples of the dimensions and is not able to evaluate its own intelligence and attain the fundamental intelligence or the fundamental speed of light. Thus, by E from the E equals to mc square, create the creation of zeroness or becoming leaving all the body and all the particles and becoming the fundamental particle of light itself. So until it is known or it is realized or it is gained through our own karma, no one is coming, no sun is coming, no no God is coming to save you. No messenger is coming to save you. You have to have attain that intelligence. You have to have attain uh, that speed, because that speed, fundamental speed, himself changed into transformed himself. It was his own will. Now that fundamental will has transformed into you. Now you are the fundamental owner of that will. So whatever would happen to your life is your responsibility. It is your will. It is your karma. So if you want to change that karma, if you want to change that cycle, that is the our next question. What is the role of Kal Chakra or the cycles or the Yuga? From this image, you can depict what is happening. See what is happening and what the conditions, qualities and the condition is known. Either that fundamental originated position of nothingness, zeroness, or shivatva, knowing its own form, can stay into its own nothingness and do not allow its own intelligence or light to pass through, becoming the black hole singularity. Our observed, we are being observed as black hole singularity is nothing else but the zeroness form of that God, that fundamental God, that Shiva, or that fundamental consciousness or intelligence allow its own stable condition of that zero to transform into knowing self, and knowing that self allow that its own light to transform. From that light of transform, from zeroness, dimensions of zero, we come to the dimension of knowing. From that knowing, thyself uh, becomes the fundamental dimension of unity, or the first dimension of existence. From first dimension of existence, the first observation transform from the condition of unity, that whatever that may be. Thus, the condition of duality occurs. From this duality, there can be the waveforms or the time cycles of universes, in which infinite universes, or can be formed in, and in that universes infinite entities, events, cycles can be formed. Now through this slide you can see what would be the position of that fundamental observation. Here the white part which we are seeing, differentiate a pi line is differentiating the fundamental nothingness and the fundamental absolute unity. This absolute unity is shown as the part of light, as the part of knowing, as the part of that consciousness, and which is shown by his own self, his own will. And if there is no other observer, and no then or anything else, then the first fundamental transformation would be his own vision. That first vision would be the first drishti, or the first observation. That first observation would be, where would that position be? That position, if we create the condition, we realize, and if we put a graph, and we realize that the total observational plane could be at maximum can be 360 degrees. Either it can be 0, it can be 1, or from 1 there could arise a duality in, or the second dimension. Thus the second dimension itself creates a line between the first dimension and the second dimension. Therefore the angle reaches the 180 degrees, or the straight line, or the fundamental line of existence. Or this is also the position of line. It is being taught that line is a never ending line. Okay? Never ending positions where A and B positions are infinitely apart and it never ends. This is the fundamental position of that line. Now, being the absolute truth, being God, and being smaller entities in that observation into the universe, may come to the conclusion that you are not God, you are not truth, or whatever. I am the smaller entities being into human or whatever form of existence would neglect you and your existence of being God. I myself become the egoistic part, and I myself know myself as my name and human body, and I am maybe the God, or that another form, or that another tree is God, not you and me, or that another mountain is God, or something fundamental existent of that could be praised, or that another how many forms God is being praised or by people or known by people, nobody knows. Everybody knows there are so many different forms in which God is prayed. So, or whatever knowledge is being be known may not be the truth. So we arise to the condition of logical truth. So if we put uh, the truth table or the position of the truth, either unity is truth, or the difference or the transformation of that unity is truth. The transformation of that unity is the fundamental position of the observation. In between there arise now the angle of 90 degree. Now once again we may ask, uh, from this pi dimension, from this second dimension, that the fundamental observer, being you and me, that this may not be the truth. So we again create a resultant position. This resultant position where would be where it would be now, from 90 degrees, the resultant would be 45. If we apply force in the two direction, if we apply the logical reasoning, logical intelligence, and the logical resultant of all the intelligence and all the information that could ever exist into the existence, the resultant force and direction and light would be in where 45-degree direction, into the nothingness. And 45 relative to where? 45 relative to the second dimension, or the pi dimension, or into the nothingness, from the absolute sun or the absolute white hole singularity into the black hole singularity. So in other words, we can say that the ad where would be the position of third dimension? The position of third dimension would be between the position of father and mother. Thus, the position of third dimension or the sun would be 45 degrees. Getting the point? Or this is also the absolute position of our sun, or whatever sun that could the fundamental suns that ever exist. Okay. Now this, why this is now sine 45, tan 45 is unity. Again, therefore, if you observe the tan theta, if we allow all the observation into being that tan theta would again give us the unity result, means the truth table. So between 90 degrees of being nothingness, or Maya or Mahakali, or our fundamental mother Maha Jagdamba, into Ardhanareshwar, in between Shiva and Shakti, the third dimension would be at the 45 degrees into the womb of that mother, into the nothingness, being sun, being the first creation. So thus the third dimension from the origin, before the origin, is the first dimension or the first position of our creation. Therefore, the universe is made on Sunday, not on any other day. Getting the point? This is the fundamental reason why it is being told that the the universe was created and on the first day, and it was Sunday. And if you know it's been other than Sunday, you have been falsified through your religious whatever communities or it is. So this is the reason the universe starts from Sunday, because sun is formed as the third dimension of the existence from the origin, as the first dimension of the creation, observable creation. Getting the point? From this sun, the resultant dimension, again we can ask, this may be true or this can be false. So again 40 from these, because it is zeroness, the 90 degrees and the time dimension from the 90 degrees observational position, and the time dimension at 90 degrees, things again can be evaluated. Another the area can be swept another pi area can be swept into zeroness, another motion can be swept, another intelligence can sweep, create and know its own self. So this cycle can go on in the curvature of cone if we stay stable at the second dimension, or the fundamental observer stays still. Into the duality, the universe would appear as cyclic in form of cone, that which we are also and always observing in the form of suns and planets oscillating. Moving far gives the vision and drishti to become smaller, far, therefore smaller, therefore conical shape. Okay, or shank, which we call cone another. Okay, then realizing all the intelligences, all the truth that can ever occur, sweeping all the area that can ever be swept, creating all the creations that could ever be created into transforming, by transforming all the into all the transformed that could ever be transformed, and realizing all the truth and false in between the truth and false at the 45 degrees of tan theta conditioning, the logical truth, to that logical truth, all the truth can be known. So this is the time cycle, this is the cycle of Yuga, this is the cycle of Kalachakra. So when everything is known, every particle attains, once again attains the fundamental speed, the universe again collapses into a zeroness, nothingness, or when it is observed from the future observational universe, we would be observing a black hole singularities. Thus, a black hole singularity, fundamental position of the black hole singularity, it is the position which is observed, can only be observed from the future observational universe. Thus, in relative to this, a fundamental white hole singularity would be a position where everything is known, everything is being evaluated, and all the dimension has been created and comes towards one again in the form of light. Thus, white hole singularity, the position of white hole singularity can only be observed from a universe, existential universe, which is in present, or before, which exists before the uh, white hole singularity. Thus, white hole singularity is a futuristic position from our present, and black hole singularity is the uh, fundamental past position of our universe. I think that would be enough for today, and we would be discussing all other next questions. And on Sundays and Saturdays we take English lectures, weekly two English lectures, two or more maybe maximum, and two and three Hindi lectures. So please subscribe to this videos channel and share as much as possible, and be as wise as you want. Pray to God, खूब नाम जप करो, और do the योग ध्यान, and I hope we all reach the singularity into the fundamental moments. Jai Sri Ram. If there are any other questions that could ever be asked, please ask me, and those will be answered answered and explained into uh, in form of actual existential universal conditions. I will try to show you, so that you may not be lost into the time when the death arrives, because death is no death, but just a transformation of intelligence into knowing its own different form. You see, because vision is of smaller entities, the speed of light is small, thus it reaches to smaller positions Because of that smaller positions, the vision is small, and thus the body contained may be available or visioned or can be seemed small. You are an infinite being. To be infinite, join me and keep uh, be alive. Share as this videos, my videos as much as possible with all the communities, with all the intellectuals, with all the knowers, with all the childrens, especially children's, all the age groups. It is very useful for all the educational system rather than studying some useless things. Jai Sri Ram. See you soon.